Hi, this is Tom Painter again. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. This is Tom Painter from the Success and Money Foundation. We teach kids, teens, young adults, and adults about success and money principles because most likely you didn't learn it in school. Now, I've got a good friend of mine, Mr. Deven Wohlwend, on with us. He's a young man that had the privilege, similar to myself, of having a wonderful mentor with his parents. You know, Bob Allen says, good parents give their kids good memories, bad parents give their kids bad memories. Well, Deven's have some wonderful family members that's helped him to get way ahead when it comes to financial. What he's doing is more than 99% of the population in the world, maybe even 99.9%. And he's going to come on and he's going to teach us about real estate, but he's going to also teach you about life. He's going to teach you about how he got started. And the key is that if he can do it, so can you. And so I'm so excited to have Deven on with us. Deven, come on in. Tell us a little bit about your story, a little bit about real estate. And I think he's actually a best-selling author as well. So Deven, take it away.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for having me on. And let's start with this. How many of you want more out of life? Go ahead, put in chat, raise your hand. If you have your camera on, that's great. Well, at least we got a couple people answering. I'm here to tell you that if I can do it, so can you. Now, okay, well, beside the computer problems and the slightly delayed everything, who am I and why, or who am I? I'm a 15-year-old real estate investor and best-selling author. I bought my first investment when I was 5 years old, and I started buying real estate when I was 7. So how did I do this crazy stuff at a young age? I started out by doing smaller things. I started when I was 5. I walked up to my dad and decided I wanted to invest, and so I asked my dad what I should invest in. At this time, my parents had been investing for quite a while, so it was just kind of natural. But anyway, my dad told me, invest in what you know. And the main thing I knew at the time was Legos. So how did I invest in Legos? The little plastic building blocks? I had seen that Lego retires or stops making their sets after a while. And I had also seen that once Lego does that, then the price of the set frequently doubles. So I came up with an idea. If I buy a set at the regular price, hold it until Lego retires the set, and then sell it, I could double my money, theoretically at least. So what actually happened? I decided to invest in the biggest set I had ever built. The main problem was I didn't have enough money to go buy this set, which was the Lego Death Star. I was working to get the money, but I wanted it to be faster. So I got a partner, my brother. But he was what my dad calls a hand-holding partner. He was there more for comfort than actually to help me. This ended up slowing us down, and Lego retired the set before we had all the money, which cost us an extra $100, which was a lot. But I learned to, well, first, be more creative, and also, if you're getting a partner, make sure they actually will help you. So I learned from this mistake, but made another. I chose not to use eBay because they charged a 10% commission. I decided to use Craigslist instead. This slowed us down once again, leading us to not sell the set in time, which normally I wouldn't think there would be a time limit, like Lego retires the set, It's done. It's done. It's gone. But Lego came out with a new version of the set. Did not see that coming. And so the price of mine went back down to about what I had paid. So I learned through all of this, hire professionals. As I heard somebody once say, if you think hiring professionals is expensive, try hiring an amateur. I also learned if you're getting a partner, make sure they bring something you need. Be creative and take action. It was better to learn these on a $500 Lego set rather than a $50,000 house. So a couple years later, and a lot of learning later, I finally decided to buy my first house. I found a deal that would get me a lot of equity or a lot of value in the property over what the mortgage was. It's an $80,000 house that I had a contract on for $50,000. To finance the deal, I had got a very small family office hedge fund. I met the manager of the guy beforehand at a different investor meeting, a breakfast I went to. Because of that equity, the hedge fund basically couldn't lose money. And I still own that house today. It'll be paid off next year when I'm 16, so I can buy a vehicle. That was my dad's idea, and it was a great idea. There's just one problem with this house. Right now, or at that time, the house was barely breaking even. So I decided that I needed to go buy another deal. This one would have to have a lot more cash flow. And so I decided to buy a mobile home. Mobile homes can be great because they're much cheaper to buy, but you can still get some cash flow. Or if you find a good deal on one, you can fairly easily flip it and make some quick cash. A couple or multiple of my mobile home deals, I end up buying them for a few hundred or $1,000 and then selling them for 5,000 and 7,000, I think it was, a couple years later. So if you can find good enough deals, that's the $5,000 you need for the for that 90-day challenge. But going back to this actual mobile home, I bought it for only a couple $100 from the owners of the park. This helped with my cash flow problem while also making the park owner's life easier. The park owner had ended up with the mobile home, but didn't want the work of managing it. So he sold it to me for a cheap price, and I started paying him lot rent. Although even after I bought the mobile home, I still wasn't making quite enough money. So I moved on to a duplex, which needed some rehab in the top unit. I did a lot of work on this rehab, which I don't recommend, by the way. Back to that hiring professionals thing. But we worked on this, eventually getting it done and renting it out. Over the next couple years, I bought many more deals. I also started doing more creative deals, like subject to. What is the subject to thing? Simply, subject to is where you buy a property and you start paying on the previous owner's mortgage. It's important to note that you don't actually assume the loan. You're simply making the payments while getting the deed to the property. Subject to is great because you don't need your own money or credit. This was even better for me because I had no credit score. I was 8 or 9 at the time and had basically no money. So, subject to is great. I decided to buy it. someone came to it started when a investor came to a breakfast, that same one I talked about earlier, where I met that hedge fund manager. Uh, he was looking to sell a house, and he wanted $7,000 more than the property was worth, and he wanted cash. Seems like a very difficult deal. I started by asking him why he wanted that much money. He said that was his mortgage balance. So I talked to him about subject 2, and he said yes. He knew a bit about real estate, so I didn't really have to explain it to him. But this meant that I could just take over his mortgage, and it would save him a lot of stress and time. But we still had the problem of him owing $7,000 more than the property was worth. So I asked him to bring that amount to closing. He said yes. This made the deal a win-win. Even with all of those problems, we still could make it great for everyone. I realized the more creative I was, the better deals I could make. A few years and many properties later, I even wrote a book about some of this stuff. Why would I decide to write a book at 11? Every night, my parents tell me to dream about making the world a better place. And so, when I was in the front row of the audience at a large real estate conference, there's a speaker offering his publishing course. I spent the next, and so with that speaker offering that, I decided that's how I wanted to do it. That's how I wanted to make the world a better place. So I spent the next year writing the book. And that's how I started there. Since then, I have bought many more deals. I have helped many more people. And I even started speaking and teaching all over my country. And now I guess I'm talking to people worldwide through the internet, which still blows my mind. So some final words to wrap up this speech, which I went through very quickly, but we'll have time for plenty of questions. Final words. Make every deal you do a win-win. Too many people think one person has to win and one person has to lose in a deal. That's not true. You can make it so that everybody wins. Everybody can get benefits from a deal. Everybody can end up making money. To do this, be creative. You can make much better deals if you create better things through creativity. Also, take action, because you can't get anywhere without taking action. And always remember, if I can do it at some crazy young age, then so can you. Thank you for listening.
Deven, thank you so much for being on. I am so impressed and so grateful for you. We had some very similar things in our parents that have done amazing things. And we had good parents. Bob Allen says that good parents give their kids good memories, bad parents give their kids bad memories.
That
And
is absolutely
number
true.
one thing is you had some great parents. Number two is he's taken what he's learned and he's sharing with others. Now, he could just hoard it all and not tell anybody and stuff like that, but that's not how it works. Successful people help other people. And, earlier we talked about just adding zeros. And I'm going to show you a quick little slide here. This is the investment conference that I attended just the other day. And what is amazing about this is that represents about I would guess $3 billion was in that room right there. Successful people. And these are, this is the third generation. You can see that the guys that have gray haired are third generation, and the guys in the fourth generation, their kids are a little bit younger. And there are 5 brothers that are in the third generation that I've got to know really well. And these are wonderful people. These are great guys. And they do the same kind of deals that we do, except for they've added zeros. And instead of looking at a $10,000 or $100,000 property, they look at a $100 million property. It's the same strategy. And one of the things we talk about is finding partners to do deals with you. Well, you know, all those people in that room were investors, and we go in as investors. You know, I did a ton of deals just like Deven has did when I got started. I flipped a lot of real estate, fixed up a lot of real estate. My wife and I did that. On our first date, we even looked at real estate. But as you get bigger and bigger, then you're going to start taking more of your time and investing with other great people. And that's what I'm doing now. And it was real estate that allowed us to create this foundation. I bought my first 4-unit building even before I got married in 1983. And we owned that building for about 38, 39 years. And then I took that building and I put it into the foundation. I also put some other 4-unit buildings and a house in there. And it was real estate that has funded this foundation. So when you're getting money from us on those financial rewards, it was real estate that did that. And it was also Berkshire Hathaway stock and Facebook stock, because, you know, I bought the real estate many years ago, and it doubled in value. Rule of 72, you know, how long does it take for something to double in value? Well, it doubled in value. All the loans got paid off. Who paid them off? The tenants did. They paid me rent, and I paid the mortgage payment, and the tenants basically paid all those pieces of real estate off. Now I've got 20 free and clear 4-unit buildings, plus a bunch of houses. And so as I've gotten older, I wanted to spend my time not doing that. I wanted to spend my time in the foundation. And so we gave 3 of those buildings away. People say, well, why would you give 3 of those pieces of real estate away? Well, because I had 20 of them. And we're going to give more as we continue to do what we're doing. We're going to give more and more away. Now, these great people that I know, and I'm just telling, they're called the Woodburys. There's 5 brothers. That's in the 3rd generation. You know, they've got, and then the 4th generation is their kids. The school I went to, they donated the money for the business school, and they've given away millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. They do the same things we do. They just add zeros to it, but it's the same systems and the same strategies. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next section. We're going to go to our next section, and we're going to thank Deven so much for being on with us. We're going to invite you back to come back again, and because we're going to get into hardcore about how to make more money, and real estate is one of those keys. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back. Thanks for watching.